All right, let me welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the Nonviolent City Project Joliet Candidate Forum 2023. Well, my name is Doug Casper, and I am the chairperson for the Nonviolent City Project here in Joliet. And my co-facilitator and event organizer is Maria Arcilia Rosa Urbano. Just want to mention that we do have the top-of-the-line translation equipment here today. If anybody needs translation from English to Spanish, they should see the technician in the back. That equipment is also able to help with if somebody's hard of hearing. So our Nonviolent City Project is part of a national movement, creatively active in over 50 major cities across our nation, dedicated to mobilize our nation for the difficult, challenging, and changing times that we live in. Here in Joliet, our Nonviolent City Project envisions a Joliet free from violence in all its forms, to invest in education and development programs, to increase awareness and engagement in nonviolent practices and policies, to bring together local community organizations and individuals that are committed to a society with a balance of prosperity, security, justice, and hope, and to dismantle the structures and systems that lead to violence. So with that said, we have two rules for our candidates. First rule is that this is not a debate. We ask you to keep your comments about yourselves. And because we have many candidates and we want to hear from you all, please respect the time. We have a timekeeper over here on the side, and she will flash when you have 30 seconds left, then 10 seconds left, and when you're done. Again, please respect the time that we have so that we can hear from everyone. So our first question, Maria's got that one.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for coming. We really appreciate your presence here, and welcome to all the candidates that are here, and thank you for taking time. The first question is, you have 2 minutes. Tell us why you're running for office and why you would be good to be a candidate, and you have 1 minute. I want to start with the mayors.
Okay, Mayor Odekirk, can you start?
Sure. Is this 2 minutes or 1 minute?
1 minute.
Actually 1 minute, because everybody showed up, which is nice.
To the point.
Testing. Good evening. Thank you for coming out. Thanks for the offer, for this forum, and for the offer to, the opportunity to address everyone. Mayor Bob Odekirk. I've been the mayor of the city of Joliet for the last 8 years. Prior to that, the 4 years before that, I was a city councilman in District 2. When I got elected to the city council in 2011, the city of Joliet was facing a $27 million annual deficit. That was the state that the city had been driven in by the prior administrations and the elected officials. I came on board with Councilman Hugg and Councilman Morris. I'm very proud of the record where Joliet is at today. We've had record amounts of economic development, investment in our city, all over the city. And the city budget, city financially is in better shape now than it's ever been in my lifetime. So there's a number of major projects which have begun both on the east and the west side of Joliet under my administration. I certainly look forward to seeing those through: the Hobolt Road Bridge, the prison restoration, the steel, the U.S. Steel Mill, and various other things. My time is up, but thank you again for coming out.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tycee Bell, and the reason that thank you all for having us. And the reason that I chose to run for mayor in this election is because as a Joliet resident and as someone who's worked in non-for-profit for 23 years, I've been afforded the opportunity to work with youth, families, and communities, especially Joliet, and communities throughout Illinois. Some of the concerns that citizens and residents have usually stem from empowerment and feeling like they don't have a voice or a space to share their ideas. And so what I've been doing is talking about resetting a system, not just just economically, not just on environmental justice and awareness about the issues that we have with infrastructure, but about you and your civic engagement and how you can become active. So the first step is voting, and one of the things I noticed in the election as I started to think about who I was and who I wanted to see Joliet become as a culture collectively was that we're not in large numbers voting and talking about the issues and concerns that we have. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and again, I hope I get to share more with you about who I am and why I want to represent you all.
Thank you.
Good evening, and I too want to thank every one of you for coming out tonight and for setting this up. I've been in the business in this city for 31 years. I've been a good partner to the city for 31 years, and I worked my way out of a job. I still have a lot of good energy. My biggest concern for our community is that we have over 40,000 young people under the age of 19 years old. I want to make sure that we have a great, safe place for those young people to continue to grow up, to continue to prosper in our community. I know we're here tonight, and safety is a big concern. So I've got some thoughts, and we can talk about it later because I'm going to run out of time. You know, flock cameras, different things we can do to keep us safe. But that's my biggest concern is we've got to find things and ways to keep all those 40,000 plus young people under the age of 19 engaged and purposeful. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hug.
Hello, everybody. I'm over here.
All right, sorry about that.
I'm going to step down for a second. Thank you for having this forum. Thank you for inviting me. My apologies, as I had spoke to in January to Maria, that I have a large HOA, Homeowners Association meeting in my district. I can't miss that. It'll be a couple hundred people there, but I wanted to at least come by. As the mayor pointed out, we were $27 million in debt in 2011, and we were projected to have a $65 million shortfall by 2015, and we were listed as number 15 out of the top 15 cities over 100,000 to be bankrupt, according to Business Insider magazine. And you can still find that article. We turned it around the old-fashioned way through hard work, through economic development. We are now in the middle of the biggest infrastructure project the city's ever seen, between the water at $1 billion, between the 18 million instead of 2.5 million like it used to be spent on streets and sidewalks. Over the next 10 years, it will be 180 million, almost $200 million in streets and sidewalks. So we're accomplishing quite a bit. My grandfather said, never leave a job unfinished, complete it. And I want to complete this, and I want to build on the successes we've already had. And again, thank you for having us here tonight.
Thank you.
Again, thank you all for letting me come here tonight and talk to you and tell you, my name is Mike Ulitz. I'm sorry my name tag fell off. I'm 31 years of working in municipal government for the city of Joliet. I worked in the Department of Public Works. I've been on the inside. I know what we need, what works, what projects we can work on. I think we need to put together a distinct plan for not only just for our infrastructure. We need to have a good plan going forward, a good 20-year plan that I stand for. We also need plans for economic development. We need plans for bringing in some good, well-paying jobs that keep our kids busy. Terry Darcy brought up the number of youngsters under the age of 19. We need to give those guys a good, well-paying job so that they can support themselves and move on out and get into workforce housing and good housing like that. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
My name is Pat Mudrin. I'm the current District 2 City Councilman. I believe in giving back. We should all give back either with our time, talent, or treasures. I think I have a number of those, being in business, being educated, and living in Joliet all my life. There's a number of projects, as the mayor had mentioned, that we've seen start. I'd like to take them to the finish. I'd appreciate your vote on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Quinn Adamowski. I am a candidate for District 2, and thank you all for being here, and thank you for putting this on. I'm a lifelong resident, and I love this city because I think that we have so many cool things going on here, and we have so much potential to do so much more. I'm involved in a lot of different boards and commissions in the city, nonprofit, and some city commissions. And what I've learned over the past 5 or 6 years is that we have the resources here to do the really important things that our community needs to see. And I'm running because I feel that I've had the experience and I feel I have the vision to bring to the council some different ideas, bigger ideas, to move the city forward and realize the potential that we do have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Glenda Wright McCullum. I have over 30 years, more than half my life of public service ministry here in the Joliet area. And I want to take that wisdom and expertise that I've gained and gleaned over the years and bring them to the council to continue to advance the city of Joliet. I'm a lifelong resident here. I'm born and raised, matriculated through Joliet Public Schools, earned an honorary doctorate of divinity from St. Thomas Christian College, also an associate's degree from Joliet Junior College. And I'm just looking forward to push forth the agendas that are necessary to move the city forward and to keep the city advancing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. This looks a lot different than when I used to buy groceries here when I was at Jewel Osco. My name is Bob Wunderlich. I'm running for District 2 City Councilman. Born, raised Joliet, schools all my life. I have a little experience. I was on the Joliet Junior College Board of Trustees for 44 years. Retired from that a few years ago, retired from my construction business a few years ago. One of the biggest things I did in my last year at Joliet Junior College, we hired the first Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director ever at Joliet Junior College. And Dr. Irvin is doing an excellent job. And I hope anybody that needs anything at all, you just call up Joliet Junior College. They'll help you out. Thank you.
There's a microphone right in front of you. If you want to go ahead and leave that one, right? If you want to. Thank you. Right in front. Thank you so much. Yeah, just leave that one there. Thank you. It's on. I think it's on. Is it
Maybe.
on?
I have it?
It's on.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sherry Reardon. I'm the current councilwoman for District 3 in Joliet. The reason I want to run again is I very much enjoyed the past 4 years. We've done so much together and done so many great things, and I too want to see them come to fruition in the end. But the thing that I've enjoyed the most as a councilwoman is the one-on-one interaction with the residents, helping them to navigate through the Joliet governmental process. You know, the things that you, I'm sure, have dealt with, is the sidewalks popping up, the holes in these streets, the light bulbs burning out on your, in your parkways. All those things, I love to be able to have somebody call me and be able to go to the right department and have it happen. So I'd like to continue to help our people one-on-one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Rosa Hernandez and I have lived in District 4 since I was maybe 5 years old. My reason for running is just to continue and helping the community. I have always loved to help the people in Joliet. I just want to make sure that the next person that's selected to represent District 4 is going to do the right, the best job that they can. I think that, District 4 is such a beautiful district because, I'm raising my family right there. So for me, just right now, to try to get the best we can in there, I want to make sure that we get the police. I'm really looking into NOPTC in all our areas because we're lacking on that area. So I'm very much for public safety, so I'm going to really focus on that because what good is a city if we're not safe? So I'm very much into public safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Thank you.
That's very good. I am not going to be able to tell you in the time that our timekeepers have given us to tell you why I'm running. So what I will tell you is please visit parkerforjoliet.com where you can really get a good idea of why in full length of why I'm running. I am running also because of two words, collective impact. Collective impact. If you don't remember anything else, remember collective impact. My grandfather had 4 laundromats in Joliet, and he showed us what collective impact really is and what it can do for people, a community, and for the city of Joliet. I am looking forward to representing you in this district and working with everybody to make sure we can work together to partner for a better Joliet District 4. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bill Ferguson, and I, like everybody else, appreciate the fact that you came out tonight and gave us this opportunity to speak with you. I'm running for District 4 City Council. I'm a lifelong resident of the district. You look out the window, if the train wasn't there, you could see my church, St. Joseph's, where I went to grade school, graduated from Joliet Central, Joliet Junior College. I've always been active in the community. I was the director of the Emergency Management Agency of Will County after I was a volunteer there for 17 years. I worked in the coroner's office here for 21 years. I've had a lot of experience working in government, so I know how the wheels turn. And my big concerns in District 4 are, number one, maintaining what we have and improving it. Because District 4 is the oldest district in Joliet, in the entire city. Our infrastructure is old, needs to be maintained. I'm concerned about law enforcement. I want to make sure that we have enough NOPT officers to serve all of the communities so that people become familiar with the police, become comfortable with the police, and cooperate with the police to keep their neighborhoods safe. Did I hit it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cesar Cardenas, and the short answer on why I'm running is because basically Joliet is my ranch, is my pueblo, is mi rancho. This is where we're from. I'm born and raised here in Joliet, on the east side of Joliet. I have my business here. We're raising our families here, and I think that Joliet needs good representation. District 4 needs good representation. It needs bilingual representation, in my opinion, because we are a growing community. And I think I've worked with many small businesses. Things that we're doing right now in the different organizations that I've been involved with scholarship fundraising, working with the Spanish Community Center, again, working with our small businesses and working with our church. I'm heavily involved, and I know a lot of the faces that are out here today, and a lot of people know me, and I just want to be a voice for everyone that's here. Quiero ser la voz de todos ustedes. So my hope is that you can go out and we get the people to come out to vote, and that you vote for me at this April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Lanham. I'm running for City Council District 5, 49 years old. Some of you may know me from various Joliet Patch articles I've been in, and also I've run for public office twice before. 2021, I ran for City Council at large, and last year I ran for Illinois State Representative District 86. During those political runs from before, I've met a lot of people, and they keep encouraging me to run because they feel underrepresented or not represented at all, and I want to continue the fight for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Susanna Ibarra. I'm running for Joliet City Council District 5. District 5 is the most underrepresented district in all of Joliet. The residents of District 5 definitely deserve better. How many people continue to see their water bill rise? Raise your hand. So that's one of the tipping points for me, and it is just the beginning of the iceberg of why I'm running. I'm here to uplift the voices of the residents throughout District 5. It's a huge district, and they deserve better representation. So thank you so much for having me here tonight, and I'm excited to tell you all my plans for District 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Again, thank you all for having me this evening. My name is Terry Morris. I'm the current District 5 council person for the last 12 years. So that's 3 other terms, and seeking re-election again. And the reason why I am seeking re-election again is because there's so many great things that has happened in the city and is coming to fruition in the city, and I just want to continue the great work that I think that the city has been doing as a collective council. And again, I own a business here for the last 30 years. The reason I moved to Joliet a little over 30 years ago. So I own a business that's in District 5, and I reside in District 5. And I'm just, love the city. And 12 years ago, I just wanted to give back to the city because the city had been good to me. So thank you again for having me this evening. Thank you.
Okay, I want to thank you all for being brief, and so we actually are a little bit ahead of our schedule. Very good. Our next question here is, what do you think about community-based policing, training police, educators, and others in restorative justice practices, conflict resolution methods, and de-escalation training as an alternative to, quote, school to prison pipeline, unquote. And I'd like to start again with Mr. Hugg. Councilman Hugg said he had to leave early, and I want to give him an opportunity to speak.
That was a long question, huh? Currently, when we talk about the situations that develop where you have someone in a situation who may have a mental health issue, when we send the police, something we should be proud of is a program here in Joliet that was started under this council by our police chief and a team he put together called ThriveWorks, which is integration of mental health, real mental health assistance to every Joliet resident. If you have insurance, your insurance pays as much of the $99 per session for your counseling, for your help, for your psychologist, and whatever's left over, the city pays. If you have no insurance, the city pays the whole thing. It is free, not technically free, it's our taxes, but it is free at that moment to that individual. So we are addressing it in a more larger way, and very proud to say our chief is now has been invited to an international conference in Boston in a couple of weeks because this program is so unique, and people from around the world are going to look at it. Green Bay's already adopted our program, so has Rockford. So we've done that, and I'm a law and order guy. So we've restocked the police to the tune of 160 plus new officers, the fire department to 80, and I will continue to be a law and order guy. Thank you.
Let me just mention to you, we're still trying to hold to a minute.
Okay, first off, I'm in favor, obviously, of community-oriented policing. I believe that's the way we need to go. We need to get, we had it better staffed at one time. We need to keep going that way. Staffing, I think if we have our officers on the streets, walking and talking to all our neighborhood, our residents, I think that's a way we can go that we can kind of help our people in our community. In addition, we do need to spend, I think we need to spend more money on our mental health. And I don't know if that's a city issue or a state issue, but it's a collaborative issue that I'm willing to work with all of our state funding and our state representatives and our senators and stuff of getting more funding for mental health help here in our county and with our people as well. It's really a combination of the two. It's getting to know everybody. If you as a policeman get to know your neighbors and your residents on your block, and we have avenues and we can use our mental health funding, that's the way to go about it to help reduce our crime in our area. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think everybody is for community policing. Our problem is numbers. I think everyone realizes being a policeman today is different than what it was. We here in Joliet, I feel, are very lucky that we do have a very good police staff and a very good management team of them. As mentioned, there is a mental health component now that the city is paying for that's over in the Silver Cross facility. But we need to take a harder look at our hiring practices in the city on how we can attract more candidates. The numbers are very far down. Yes, we put on a number of officers this past year, but we also lost that same number of officers. So we're just replacing what we're having and not being able to move it closer to having more policemen out there, the chance to have more community policemen in the future.
I'm going to answer this in two different ways. In a previous career, I worked with at-risk students, students who were expelled, students who refused to go to school for truancy. And I had the experience of working with them and seeing the struggles that they had. And one of the things that I always enjoyed the most was watching them interact with police officers who understood how to work with them, who understood how to talk with them. And we need more of that. And we do have that in some of the schools right now. We need to have much more interaction between students and the police to build trust. I also chair the Fire and Police Board. And what I can tell you is going through the process of hiring multiple police officers, we're getting more diverse. And I'm very impressed by the backgrounds of the candidates. And I think that the police chief and the command staff has done an excellent job in moving hiring forward. And I do agree that we have some other issues that we have to address, and we do need more NOPT. I think NOPT is the key for this community.
To work for the City of Joliet as personnel technician, and what those duties entailed were working with police and fire board, the eligibility testing, psychological testing, and clearly the world we live in today is quite different than the world we lived in then. And so I believe there's a need to not only bring in more community police, but also to upgrade the training that they're getting in order to know how to deal with most of the issues that we're dealing with today. Today's issues are a whole lot different than what they were in times past. And so bringing them on and giving them an opportunity to be able to interact with the community, interact with the neighborhoods, understanding what they're dealing with when they come up on different situations. And so I believe that that is a critical part of police training and adding more police to the force.
I was wondering if somebody might let some of us that don't know what NOPT means.
Since I have the mic, it's the Neighborhood-Oriented Policing Task.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, when I was a little kid about 100 years ago, going to school, we had an officer there called Officer Friendly, and he would come and talk to us. And we were taught that the policemen are your friend, not your enemies. And if you ever needed anybody, you go to the first policeman you see. We need more interaction within the schools and the police department. I think that would be better for the students, and they would feel safer. As far as the mental health issues, that's a big issue going on. The city of Joliet right now has one social worker for the third biggest city in the state. They work with the county social workers and ones from different cities and counties. But it's hard for one person to do a lot of these things that go on. Mental health, all the different things that the social workers do. We need more. We need a little more. And thank you very much.
I certainly agree with the community policing point of view and the NOPT. We've had more people requesting these neighborhood police officers to help one-on-one for just what you say, where they want to know that they can go to this specific person and this is a friendly face and somebody they know. As far as the mental health that we've all been talking about, it's been a great program. I think one of the things that hasn't been brought up is our officers, our police officers, and our firemen are also being trained in the mental health and given opportunities if they feel like they're having any issues that they have somebody to talk to. So not only are they getting the help, but they are able to help people who are having mental health crises. ThriveWorks has been an amazing thing. Again, I want to bring that up because I want you to know it's available to every Joliet resident, free of charge. No matter what your insurance covers, the city has put money aside to pay any difference that would make. We really are trying to address this mental health issue. Thank you.
I'm really for that. I know when I was walking down on actually my side, a lot of people were mentioning that they would feel more safer if they saw the police walking their streets. I feel that with all this that has happened, we kind of divided ourselves, so we need to learn to trust each other. I know that if we had some kind of program, basically, like I said earlier, we need that down, right on the Collins Street area, because we don't have that right now. I know that some of the areas do have that. And right now, I'm also on the Board of Police and Fire. I know that we have a budget for 287, and we currently have 267 officers, and we I think there's 20-something on the list. There's not much selection, but we do try to pick the best one we can. And I know that, I will be honest, they're doing their job, they're trying their best, but I think if we had more NLPTC in all areas, people will feel more comfortable, and we will build that trust with the community, and that's what we need right now. We need to work together. We're all living in this city, so we all need to stick together and learn to trust each other and work with each other. Thank you.
Oh, try the other mic.
I would like to reclaim my time. This question is very robust and not enough time. Please visit parkerforjoliet.org for a full, complete answer. I will go again and say, if you don't remember anything I say today, please remember 2 words: collective impact. Collective impact is very important. It involves everybody coming to the table and being a part of the solution. When I look at community policing, I think about real strategy. I think about that there are certain communities that need more community policing than others. We need trained officers. We need officers that's going to build relationships. And then one of our colleagues talked about community policing starting off as early when we were in grade school. Right now, when you look at, I think there's about 20 plus schools in District 86. They do not have an SRO in those schools. That's a problem. But you know what's even more interesting, which is why collective impact is so important, is that when I looked up and did some research on the safest cities in America, what you do find out is not policing. You find economic development, you find our culture, and you start to find that people want to be in a city where they can belong. And those are the things that's tied to safe cities. So there's a lot of work to be done, and we need real collective impact. Thank you.
Without being repetitious, everything that they said, everybody is in favor of safer cities. You want your community to be safe. You want your parents and grandparents to feel that they can walk the dog at night, not be accosted. And if there is someone that has difficulties, and I think that we've learned a terrible lesson when the state of Illinois closed the major mental health facilities, basically released people to communities without any treatment options or very little treatment options, that just wasn't something that was going to function right. So it's got to be a collaborative effort. The health department, of course, has mental health services. Now the city has a program, the state has programs, and if we could all work together on those, we could maybe affect some real change.
Thank you. Yeah, I think definitely we need to, right now we know we have a police shortage and we need to work together. I think as a community, working with the police and letting people know that our neighborhoods are safe and they can be safe as long as we come together as a community to work and communicate with our younger generation, right? I think us as, when I was growing up, and even now I hear a lot of people say, we couldn't go to this side of the bridge because it wasn't safe over there and you can't come to this side of the bridge. And I tell people, I am that side of the bridge, right? We are that side of the bridge. So we can have the perception that we're not a safe city, but I believe we are a safe city and we are a safe community. We just need to work together and work with our police officers, know that, they're here to protect us. We're here to work with them. We can't make our police feel also that we're not trying to work with them. And I think as a community, we just all got to work together because police officers are our community as well, right? So we just have to all be trying to work together on that. And we can be an impact to the younger generation to know that the police are not our enemies. And, and again, addressing more, this is a longer issue, like you said, going into mental health and everything else, those are other issues. But overall, I think we just got to all work together and know that we can be a safe city.
People, places, the things they do, and the times they do them. If a police officer knows those 4 things, they'll know how to do their job, and that's why the NOPTs is a fantastic idea. I'm going to be honest with you here, I'm not a big thing on this restorative justice. It needs limits, qualifiers, and it should not be automatic. You see too many horror stories of people out on bail, electronic monitoring, offending again and again and again. So we have to take a cautious step forward with that. And also, any nonviolence pact needs to recognize the human and constitutional right to self-defense. You are your own first line in defense. You can't always have the police nearby. So anything nonviolent needs to recognize those human rights. Thank you.
So a few years ago at the height of the pandemic, I worked with a group of residents towards a citizens review board in the city of Joliet. And when we met with the mayor, he did tell us that the police department in the city of Joliet is 20 years behind in the technologies and the trainings that similar sized cities have. And we're the city of champions, so how is that okay? I do believe in neighborhood-oriented policing. To keep a city safe is something that is very important to me. My sister-in-law was a murder victim almost 19 years ago. This is very serious business. And I just wanted to mention that I talked to Officer Desiderio, who's in charge of neighborhood-oriented policing. We only have one neighborhood-oriented officer for District 5. We probably need a team of neighborhood-oriented police officers in every district in the city of Joliet that builds trust in the communities. Chief Desiderio did tell me that money came into play, and as a Joliet Township trustee, I would like to let everyone know we got a $1.9 million grant for violence prevention. So the funds are there, it can be done, and we can make it happen. Thank you.
Yes, I've always been a supportive of our police department. I thought they'd done well. And coming on the council, when I met at some of the neighborhood meetings, I've seen how effective the NOPT officers were. And I would have supported and will continue to support bringing more NOPT officers into our neighborhood organizations or community organizations, as far as that matter. And I just think it's good for the communities. But as I think it was said earlier by a couple of the people on the panel here, that it's other layers to that. Economic development we need. Officers in the grade schools. We need that relationship back with our community people to enhance our safety. Thank you.
Mr. Darcy, you want to respond?
I would say that this is a we problem. We raise our children as a community, and we really have to take a look at the 40,000 plus children and kids that are under the age of 19. That's where we have to start. I applaud Susanna and I applaud the township for the $1.9 million social service program that they're going to be able to implement through the hard work and the grants they were able to get. You know, we're a culturally diverse city, and we need to make sure that our police officers' job, which is to serve and protect, they know how to handle everybody that they come up upon. I mean, are we diverse enough in our hiring to make sure that everybody knows who they're dealing with, how to deal with them? You know, we really need to make sure that our officers are trained. I do believe in getting more officers in the school so that that trust is built up at a young age and everybody understands that the policeman is really their friend and that they really are there to serve and protect, but we have to continue to give them the training they need and the help they need to be the best they can do in that serve and protect of the community.
So, two things I think are important about the conversation that you're hearing is that we do have grant funding that will help officers in training, and there are two organizations currently that have received some funding to do these along with the township and Harvey Brooks Foundation. One of the things I think is important about highlighting our police officers is that they are a part of organizations and they are also citizens in Joliet, many of them. When I was growing up, we had something called Snowball, Snowflake. Anybody remember those programs? Defy It. So what's happened is a lot of times these programs are out of the schools, and when we hit a cycle of violence and then we have a lack of media and exposure in our communities that shows the positive that's happening, we start to feel the pressure from our communities, and those people that are in our neighborhood organizations are trying to hold these meetings, make sure that the police are involved, know what's happening from block to block, and they're doing their best. I would say lastly, with the last few seconds I have, is that restorative justice is one of those programs that I've had the opportunity to participate in. So that's why I advocate for funding and leveraging those resources and dollars for community organizations like this one that's hosting tonight, because they can hold these type of forums on a continuous basis if they have the money to do so, and that provides education, and that gives us what we don't have, what we don't see in the media when we just show constant repetitive offenders of violence and we don't know how to solve those problems.
I was a Joliet police officer for 10 years. I was hired in 1993. When I came here, Joliet already had community policing. We're one of the first departments in the country to embrace this. I worked up in the Forest Park area for most of the 10 years. It was known as the Hill back then with Louise Ray. I saw the neighborhood police officers interact with Miss Ray and with the community every day. I know firsthand how effective it is. And I can tell you our department over the years has been held up as a gold standard, as an example to other police departments throughout the country and how to implement community policing the right way. A lot of the comments that were made earlier I agree with. Regarding diversity in the community, I agree with Mr. Darcy. Our police and fire departments need to look like our community. Prior to me becoming mayor, the Police and Fire Board, it's a 5-member board. It's always been at least 4 old white males and 1 minority. I completely turned that over, and I see Bishop Purchase is here tonight. He's one of the first members I appointed to the Police and Fire Board. He was the founding member of Operation Push in Joliet. And we put a majority of either African American, Hispanic, or females on that board and challenged the board to go out to the community, tell people in our community, you're going to get a fair shake. It's not the way it always was in Joliet. I was a policeman. I worked in the department. I saw how promotions went. I saw how hiring went. That has changed the last 8 years due to Bishop Purchase, due to Ms. Hernandez, and some of the other people on the board. It's something I'm very proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Is everybody okay so far? All right. Does anybody need a translations equipment? Because we have headphones here. Raise your hand if you do so we can take one to you. ¿Necesita un audífono de traducción? Levante su mano si lo necesita. Okay, thank you. I want to start here with the mayors first. Can you specify what program would you create to decrease the violence that we have in specifically low-income neighborhoods, and what would you promote firsthand when you take office again? Mr. Darcy? Of course. What policies or programs would you create to decrease violence in low-income neighborhoods or in the whole city district to promote peace? And what would it be?
Well, I would refer to those neighborhoods as our legacy neighborhoods, and I think that we really need to pay a lot of attention to the children that are coming up in those neighborhoods. We need to really have our police officers be very aware of who they're dealing with and how they're dealing with the bad people. You know, it's time that we take over our city and we fight crime. We can't just talk about it. There's going to have to be a plan in place that we're going to go after the crime and we're going to make sure it doesn't continue to happen. We've got to make sure that everyone feels safe in every neighborhood, but that we have enough policing to do it, enough training to do it, and all the state-of-the-art equipment we need. You know, we've got opportunity to bring flock cameras in here that can read license plates. I see Amber Alerts. We should know if that car pulled into one of our streets, that car is in one of our neighborhoods. You know, there's Ring doorbell programs that you can get into where you can volunteer to have your Ring doorbell part of the citywide, and the police can look at it immediately. If they hear there's something going on in a neighborhood, they can push a button and they can watch however many Ring cameras are on that street to see what's going on, have instant view of that community, of that part of the city. And there's programs that will allow you to help fund those things so it's not coming out of your pocket in the lower income neighborhoods.
Thank you. What policies or programs would you create to decrease violence in low income neighborhoods or the whole city to promote peace?
Okay. So that grant that we talked about earlier was a part of the Reimagine Public Safety Act. And so I like to think about frameworks and things that are already set up for us to thrive, Joliet being the third largest city. I would like to advocate again for youth programs and those wraparound programs that start in the grade school and come and wrap around the family as a whole. The second part of that grant in being on that committee that we saw was that there were recommendations that we could make. So when you hear mental health and you hear that Joliet only has one person that's working in that field specifically, it's not a knock against the city, it's that we can defer and look for money and funding to make that happen. Lastly, what I would say is that job programs for youth have gone away, so we need to do that. I was just at a 3-day event with Workforce, so I would bring forth and help build a skilled workforce, and what that has to do with what's happening now is, as you can see, Joliet is in the middle of an industrial revolution, as I like to call it, so we have an influx of jobs, and we need to look at how we can do skilled hand trade, how we can bring more unions that reflect those communities that have been marginalized now more than ever.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with Ms. Bell's answer. The only thing I would add to regarding police officers, in 2020 we had a mass exodus here in Joliet and all over the country. Officers with 20 years on or more were retiring at a rapid rate. At the same time, because of COVID, we were unable to hire new police officers. The academies were shut down. So the numbers dropped here in Joliet like they've dropped all over. Right now, the city of Aurora is offering a $20,000 stipend to any officer that will leave their current department to join Aurora Police Department. So we have hired over 70 officers the last 2 years. We do have officers in the schools. We do have neighborhood police officers. We do have flock cameras. What we don't have is enough, and we're in the process of hiring more. I think Councilman Hugg talked about that earlier, candidate Rosa Hernandez talked about that on the Police and Fire Board. The money is budgeted. We're in the process of doing it. More officers means more people on the street for these jobs, for in the schools, for the NOPT, and the different specific things that we're all talking about tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Hugg. Good exercise.
I'm sorry, folks. This was my last question. It's the campaign season, and I've got it's one of the largest subdivisions in my district, and it's a big event every year. So my apologies. They're not more important than us here. I have one eye always on District 1 and the other one on the rest of the city. Tonight, they collided. We do have programs in place to teach young folks to be respectful, to teach young folks, to give them an opportunity. It's called the family. Everything we're discussing here tonight starts with the family. And guess what? I'm not preaching to you folks. If you're engaged in the community like you are, you're here tonight, you've got a good, healthy, solid family. We have to address those that don't. ThriveWorks, as I explained earlier, goes a long way in helping folks that maybe can get out of a cycle of violence because they now have the resources to get the mental health support they need. But some people are never going to say yes. And those are the people that ultimately don't fall through the cracks. They wind up getting arrested. So what kind of programs? I'm open to suggestions. I am. But the biggest program is the family. We've gotten so far away from that. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess on my thought on this is crime comes out of desperation, in my opinion. Nobody wants to commit crimes. It's a desperate act because they have nowhere else to turn, in my opinion. Now, there will be a percentage of people that will always do that, but the vast majority do not want to commit crime, but they're out of desperation. So we have to help everyone with this. And how do we help them? We have to promote good paying jobs for the older people, the older young kids, the older kids in this, the younger kids. We need to get back to officer friendly. I heard that up here. And whatever happened to the police athletic league? We used to have that. These are some of the things I feel that we need to do. Get a hold of these guys when they're young, show them a path, a better path, give them an opportunity. We're missing opportunities, and that's, in my opinion, is the biggest thing. Bring in some good paying jobs that you can help support yourself and your family, and support our young kids as they move up in the system. Not only in the schools, but in the neighborhoods, police athletic leagues, such like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not the program that I want. It's the program that you want. What we need to hear and what I've heard over these last 8 years, is go into community meetings like this, the neighborhood meetings, which we need to have more of. We, the city, need to do a better job in getting some of them organized so we can talk one-on-one with the community, with the residents, to hear exactly what is needed in their specific area. Whether, yes, we've all talked about the neighborhood policing, we got that, but what else is there? Is there something that you know that's being done in some other community that we could implement here in the city of Joliet?
Thank you.
I agree with everything we've heard, and I think the way to sum it up is we need more of the things that we have that do work. We need to find the resources to add more SROs, more NOPT. I want to take this in a little different tact. I look at this from a structural and systemic problem. When we look through the neighborhoods, do we see blight still? Do we see a lack of code enforcement? Are we creating an atmosphere that does not invite crime? I think those are some of the things that we have to do, is to work with the neighborhoods to identify the needs. We need sidewalks to be more walkable. We need more street lights. We need code enforcement. We need to do the things that encourage people to feel safe, to walk around the neighborhood, and disinvite crime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of you may remember several years ago there was a string of murders, about 14 murders that was happening in our city. What we did is we formed a coalition of religious leaders and we began to come together. We marched, we walked, we prayed, we hit every sector of the city. We saw the crime decrease as a result of that walk. I believe that if we look at the root problem of where we are headed in terms of violence, what has transpired from taking the activities away from the children, they don't have communities, they don't have resources, they don't have youth centers by which they can have some outlet to where they don't get involved in crime. I believe that bringing policies back and initiating those things, especially in the sectors of the city that is really hard pressed and don't have the resources that are necessary, I would advocate for bringing those things back, creating a youth center, having a place, a safe place where children can go, where they can have an outlet, learn their purpose, their glean from the things that are on the inside of them that will deter them from violent activities.
Thank you.
I agree with what everybody else said about NOPD. We need more policemen. We need more officer friendlies. But the biggest thing in my mind is the schools. We need to have schools where children like to go to school. They learn better. They have a better I'm not used to talking in front of a bunch of people here. They have a little better intuition on how things should be and how good you should be in school, and it brings back to your home and to your neighborhood. And I think the schools are the most fundamental thing to start with. With that, I think there would be less problems in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you guys please turn the names? I think some of the names are facing that way. We need to know who's speaking because I don't think everybody knows all your complete names because there's quite a few of you. So thank you. That's better. So we know who we're talking about. Thank you. And yeah, if that person did not come, Janine is here. So everybody's got it. So there's one more. Susanna. Thank you. If we continue, please. Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to be repeating a lot of what was already said. How could I disagree with what has been said? I just want to say that I support the after-school programs. I would like to see us get more public and private grants. Since COVID happened, a lot of that has kind of waned, and we need to get that bolstered up again. Children who are supervised are much less likely to be subject to violence and gang recruitment, so we really need to give them a place to go. Plus the older children, getting the workforce opportunities for them as well. One of the things that you may not know about our fire department, I talk about them quite a bit because they are a remarkable group. They also work with the homeless. I've been able to go to homeless meetings, combined with the continuum of care. Who else is there? Well, obviously the fire department. And they are working to give people a new start. You know, first of all, a place to live, but food and pride and jobs and giving everybody the respect. All of us should have the respect we deserve. We're all human beings.
Thank you.
Okay, so this topic for me is very important. I have kids, so my concern on my kids, I don't want them to end up doing things that they shouldn't. I'm very much for programs. I know a lot of things have been, you know, the YMCA, that was shut down. I feel that if we can have money for all this other, you know, organizations, why can't we have them for our kids? So yes, I'm definitely, you know, we should have programs. We should have programs where they're going to be free and they're going to be, in, you know, everybody's going to be able to go and enroll in them without having to pay anything. And I think a lot of that has to do with people, you know, there's programs, but there's not the money for the parents to go and get their kids into this program. So if the city can get some kind of programs where, you know, they're free, they're accessible after school, I'm sure that our violence or whatever's going on with, you know, our kids, let's not lose them to whatever we've been losing them to the violence. I mean, and I will say, Mr. Mayor, you guys done a great job, because I remember back in 1990, the Collins Street was not safe at all. But now, you know, we just have to focus on getting things done and, you know, getting programs to keep our kids safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think the key word in the question was LMI. That's low to moderate income communities and what we can do in those particular communities. And I want to make sure that we address that, because LMI communities are much more different than communities of wealth, and communities where people have jobs and have an opportunity to earn at an early age. I think it's important that our city continues to get stronger and to get focused, laser focus on jobs for our youth and jobs for individuals that are looking to work. That is a direct impact on how we can literally take a real good bird's eye view on how we can help turn around low to moderate income communities. And I want to keep saying that low to moderate income communities are much different than other communities of wealth. We need jobs. We need to get serious about making sure that those folks are working. And I'll give you something right now. You know, there's $1 billion water infrastructure that's going on right now, and it's going to be pursuing for a while now. Let's get folks working. Let's start there.
Thank you.
When we came in this morning, there was a number of flyers being handed out. One of them was about the warehouse workers. And the question was about creating programs. We can create programs, but there are a lot of programs out there. We want to know what the community wants, what they feel is going to benefit them, and what they participate in. And a way to pay for those programs would be through development. And the warehouses, you know, they brought a lot of construction jobs, but they also brought a lot of problems. They brought low-paying working jobs. They brought truck traffic, things that are not conducive to our good community. And having a goal and a plan for development that creates good jobs so that people can afford to have the nice things, afford to have grocery stores down in this neighborhood, and afford to have programs that are going to help their children stay safe is what we should be focusing on, development.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think what we need more is working with our community organizations. I think those are going to be key to, you know, programs that we need to create are going to be, I remember years back there was like a couple boxing clubs, right? We don't have like a local health gym right in our area right here, right now. But working with the community organizations that can create programs like the boxing clubs that are going to educate, you know, the younger generation about, you know, a healthy lifestyle. You know, we have a lot of, you know, we do a lot of stuff with social services. I work with a lot of different organizations on social services, but I think we need to create opportunity through a lot of these organizations as well. So being able to work with local community organizations and find ways that we can create opportunities, right? So I think even me growing up, you know, I I was I was a client of the Spanish Community Center, right? We went there, we got, our cheese, our cereal and bags and everything else. But a lot of times I was looking for more opportunity. What else is there for me? Like I was grateful for the help, and I was grateful for the service that we received there. But ultimately, and I talked to a lot of younger people today too, some might be, a little scared to go to the Spanish Center or don't want to go. But we're looking for opportunities. So working with the community organizations to create more opportunities is what we need to do.
Thank you.
I think we need to make working easier, more job opportunities, and if a 2-year or 4-year higher education is cost or time prohibitive, let's encourage trade schools. Make these jobs the easy jobs. So if someone's considering a career in something illegal, make them think, well, this trade school job is way better than the risk of getting caught dealing drugs or doing anything illegal like that. So let's concentrate on getting people trained and educated and at a low cost.
Thank you.
I would just like to mention, and I think it's important to uplift the voices of families that are broken, because not everybody has a 2-parent household, and it's no child's fault or no parent's fault that they don't, but those voices need to be uplifted and supported as well. There's addictions in families, there's also mental health issues, and nobody asked to be born into a family like that. It's not a child's fault, it's not a parent's fault, but we need to find out how to support all of those that need our help. We need better jobs. We definitely put all the eggs in the basket of warehousing industry that is predatory to these workers, and they're not livable wage jobs at all, and crime occurs when you need money. That's why it doesn't occur in the wealthy neighborhoods as much. So we need to figure out how to create more economic development, support the warehouses through maybe unionizing and making those better wage jobs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, again, it's been said many times this evening, but I think that bringing programs that will help within the household. I know it was said about single parents, but just low income, if it's a couple, programs that the city can team up with other organizations like we have done in the past. I sit on the Land Use and Legislative Committee, and we oversee the CBG funding that comes from the federal government. And we set aside funds for the Spanish Center for hosting capital that we know reaches out into the community to help those families that need that extra assistance. So I would just like to see in the future the city of Joliet just do that, partner more with organizations that are really reaching the families of people that may have, with children that is suffering in the community, to help the community even become safer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our question number 4 is, if our schools are truly a place for learning, why are there military recruiters in our schools? Recruiters have and use students' names, addresses, and phone numbers. Would you be willing to end this invasion of privacy affecting our children? And this is question number 4. I'd like to start with District 4, Rosa Hernandez.
You know what? I was trying to hear you. I'm sorry.
Use your mic.
Repeat
please.
that again. I did get some of it. It was, I don't know if it's on his squinting my eyes.
You want me to repeat it?
Yeah, please.
Okay, and this comes from our audience here a little bit. It says, if our schools are truly a place for learning, why are there military recruiters in our schools? Recruiters have used students' names, addresses, and phone numbers. Would you be willing to end this invasion of privacy affecting our children?
I'm sorry, definitely yes. I feel that we have to protect our kids at any cost. I don't see why they should have so much information about our kids. I'm sorry, when it comes to my kids, I'm very protective. I don't think everybody should have certain information about our kids. So yes, they're there to learn, and that's what they need to do. They need to focus on learning, not, displaying their information. Because when it comes to kids, I think we have to be very careful who's around and what's going on with their kids. Thank you.
So I'm a vice president for a bank, and I take very serious to privacy and information that goes and is given to people that are not responsible. However, I do also think that the school systems need to have an opportunity to engage with children or young adults, I should say, about their options for their future. So I am for the young adults having an opportunity to talk to individuals about options, about what's happening for their lives after high school, because it gets real. And we're talking about low to moderate income communities, which I'll keep talking about. We need options, and we need options that's really going to prep up our young adults for real life. So that's my response.
They can go back.
We started in the middle, we're going to go this way, and then we're going to go that way. Thank you, please.
Yeah, I certainly agree that military is an option for some people. The people that I went through school with decided to make the career out of military. Kid that I grew up with across the street from me, hung around with, became a captain on a nuclear submarine right from Joliet. So that is an option that I think, like any other, recruiting from universities and different colleges, Joliet Junior College, that we need to expose students to, but safe holding information is also another priority. I mean, every day you hear about data breaches and hackers getting people's information. And there's a ton of it out there on Facebook and Google. You could look pretty much everybody up in this room and find out something about them. But the schools just handing over information, I don't think should happen.
Yeah, to my understanding, I believe it's like you got ROTC in the high schools. I don't know how much they're allowed or in the grade schools or anything like that. But I know a lot of people that I knew, friends of mine that were in ROTC that made careers out of it. So I'm not totally against, like you said, having options, especially in our schools. But it's just something, like you said, having an option. I don't think they should be recruiting them in any way other than saying there's an option for it. But to my understanding, I don't think that's going on in the grade schools. But definitely privacy is key. And today more than ever, we need to try to safeguard our names and our security for all our stuff, because we get so much stuff with hacking and cybersecurity stuff that we need to make sure that we got. But ultimately, I believe we should have the option if someone wants to join the military through high school and above would be, okay.
I would be against that. We should encourage our youth to serve your country. It's an honor and a privilege. And if you're worried about privacy and security, then that should apply to everything. It's not anything out there that says just the military using your information puts you at risk. If you want it, then you have to have it for everything.
So that's a yes and no answer for me. I think with consent of the parents, they should absolutely be allowed in the schools with consent of the parents. Because for some students that families do not have transportation, this might be their only opportunity to find out what their options are. So with consent, I do agree with them there, because like Caesar said, there is ROTC, junior ROTC in the high schools, and this is definitely a career path that some folks might choose. Again, but it did happen to my daughter in the last few years. As she graduated high school, she was getting texts from a recruiter completely without consent, and she couldn't understand it. I wonder if there's some monetization possibly of our children's private information. And with that being said, with such strict privacy laws, I'm surprised that it's allowed without consent. Thank you.
I believe that if they're minors, that they should have the parents' consent. If they are already signed up for a program of ROTC in high school, then I can probably understand a recruit talking to a ROTC recruit. But other than that, I would think that you should have parents' consent. Thank you.
I too agree that there is no way this information should be given out without parent consent for underage children. I do feel that the Army is, or the military, I should say, is a program that some children are ideal for, but I think it should be more in either a pamphlet form or career or school, college night type of forum where they have the opportunity to meet with all these different opportunities that they would have after high school. But as far as giving out their information without consent, I think that's terrible. Don't you just want to talk?
I assume this was based on high school people, not grade school students. Yes, I think if you're in high school, if there's a military presence there that wants to sign you up, that wants to put you in ROTC, it's a great thing. We're the greatest country in the world, and our military needs people. I was in ROTC myself. You get taught discipline, you get taught regiment, you get taught a lot of things in ROTC. Now, if you want to continue on, that's one thing. If not, but you have the opportunity to make a choice. As far as giving out information, I guess if you're in high school, that's between you and your parents if you want to share that information. Thank you.
I concur with what everyone else has said in terms of privacy as well as parental consent. I have a further question as to how is this information being disseminated? And the other thing is the information, is it targeted? Are the requests targeted? I have 3 biological children and I adopted 5 children, and out of those 8 kids, I only had 1 that got a phone call. I answers the phone and they ask for my son. Okay, who are you? How did you get my number? And what do you want with my child? And so my thing is, where is the information being released from? And the other thing is, who is the target? Who are they targeting? Is it just certain sect of kids, or just what the whole situation is? That's my thing.
So I appreciate the question, but I don't think that any of us have jurisdiction over that answer. That's up to the school boards and the administrators inside the schools. And I would encourage anybody who has concerns with military presence inside the schools to talk to them. Having said that, I mentioned earlier that I work with at-risk kids. So I did work directly with recruiters. So I'm very much in favor of having recruiters come and talk to students as long as it's not compulsory. If it's a student's choice, if it's a parent's choice, they should be afforded that opportunity. I have seen students in my time have the military be an option for them to turn their lives around. So why would we want to take that away? Would we tell the trade unions, you can't come and talk to kids? That doesn't make sense to me. It does make sense to me that you have parental consent. It does make sense to me that it's by choice and it's not compulsory. So no, I would not be in favor of disallowing the military inside the schools.
I think, of course, all of us are for privacy and safety. That goes without saying, I feel. I am not aware that the schools are giving out names of the students. That would be something that I personally would talk to the superintendent of the high school, Dr. Guzman, and find out if they are giving out names or if there is a process that they are, a parent would sign off, that type of thing. I think all of us know people who have been in the ROTC programs. And anybody, it's a voluntary program, you don't have to stay there. The people that are in it seem to like it. A number of them go on to the service after that and have had a successful career. As mentioned, the trade unions come in and meet with the students also. We want to encourage that. In our area, those are very good jobs. And we hope more people could ascertain them. Thank you.
Can I just take this opportunity to make a plug for the school referendum? Everybody go out there and vote for that. I think we need that deeply. Obviously, privacy is a huge issue, and of course, we're all You know, we want to protect our privacy. That's a no-brainer. But again, we need to have options for our students, and we would be happy to promote job fairs and give them choices. Sure, ROTC could be a choice. It is an excellent choice for some people, not all. It shouldn't be a forced choice. We should have choices for everyone. So let's build up our schools, let's vote for the referendum, and let's look into our individuals who are running for the school board and get some good education on them and go out and vote for them. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Tycee, you want to pick that up?
All right, sure. So I'm going to echo what everybody said with just a little added bonus that I was a Girl Scout recruiter. So when I showed up without cookies, people were very upset. And during at which time, I definitely was walked past, so I was not collecting children's information. But I think the serious thing is since 9/11, we've had a security issue. I don't know how many of you are resetting your passwords constantly, anything you sign up for. So we have to protect our children. They're on Facebook, they're on social media. When they're in school, if phones aren't allowed, these are sometimes the gateway at which people are predatory. And so I think when we sit with our school district, school board people are here, thank you for coming, we need to talk to them. We need to find out what those processes are and what's in place. Unfortunately, if this is your question and this has happened to you, I would say let's fact find. Let's find out what exactly happened. When is this happening? There are ROTC programs, as they said, and they are directly tied to encouraging and empowering the youth. And a lot of our youth need that right now, dealing with anxiety, depression, and all those things. So I think that, again, if we look at who those organizers are, those individual staff members are, and lastly, like I said, I would apologize to you if that has happened, but let's have a deeper conversation later.
I would also agree we should not have that information in the hand of recruiters. I think that's up to the children and their parents. I know they're really aggressive on recruiting for the military right now, but they could come into the schools on a job fair type situation. There's so many choices, and when you're that age and you don't know exactly what you want to do, you could be pulled into something you really don't want to do, but they shouldn't have that kind of pressure. You know, we've got kids that want to be in the military. They should, and they'll seek out the ROTC program with the passion that they want to do that. You know, we've got a very robust Police Explorer program here in Joliet, and I was talking to some young folks that are in it right now, and you know, they will move into the police department. They'll have a better understanding of that. We have many, many great trade opportunities in our community. Our skilled labor is going to have years and years of opportunity here. They should have a choice, but nobody should have their private information to put too much pressure on them to do what they think is right for that person at that age.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Under no circumstances should any minor's private information be given to any adult. That's ridiculous. I also agree with Mr. Adamowski and Mr. Ulitz. The reality is both the Joliet Public High School and grammar schools have their own elected officials that they answer to. All of you vote for them. They don't answer to me as the mayor or the city council. They answer to each one of you. And I think the officials in District 86 and 204 are doing a great job, especially coming through the COVID crisis. But ultimately, issues at the school go to them and ultimately to you to judge what's being done in the schools. But I just want to clear that up, that's not anything that the mayor or the city council has direct jurisdiction over. Thank you.
All right, let me mention that Maria's got the next question, but after that question, we're going to open it up to anybody that might have a question for the candidates to come forward, and we'll give you the mic.
Thank you. Everybody okay? Candidates okay? Thank you. There has been, under the state of Illinois, some grades that have been implemented on the Illinois report card. We have that on the wall over there, on that corner. In those report cards, according to the state of Illinois, the population of Joliet indicates that within our school districts, if I can go through the census, we have a little bit of time. The population in Joliet, if in case you didn't know, it's 150,362 people. Caucasian, 44.9%. Hispanics, 33.6%. African American, 17.1%. And two or more, 17.6%. And the rest is 0.7%, which is Native American and Alaskan. We want our children to engage. I believe most of our school children feel disengaged, mainly Hispanic and Latinos. And if you are a community educated or an educator, or you are an elected leader, we want you to say that you care. And do you matter? Are you accountable? If chosen as an elected official, would you commit to sign the proclamation that was communicated and is in front of you? Mr. Morris?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last. You don't have to read the whole thing.
If you are a candidate, and we have already shared with you the requested information as far, would you be able to sign the petition and the proclamation so that if in case you're elected, we can say that Joliet is a safe city? And would you be willing to sign it before you leave? I want everybody to answer that question today. If you haven't read it, I did send it to your email.
Yeah, you're speaking of the proclamation?
Yes, the proclamation.
Yeah, that was saying, yes, I read it. Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Sign it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm an elected official. I'm a Joliet Township trustee. This is the first time I am seeing this, but yes, I will sign it right now.
Thank you.
I would sign this, but with certain qualifiers. There's some things I have questions on, and I would have to talk further.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would sign a proclamation to say that we're a safe city.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree that everything here at the first blush appears to be something that I could agree with, because we would like to have that as a goal, to be a nonviolent city where everybody that lives here has a good job, has a nice neighborhood to live in, and is safe.
Thank you.
This form says city council member, so after I am elected and win, I will sign.
Thank you.
Give me 1 second, I'm kind of just finishing reading it. And yes, I'm all for safety.
Thank you.
I have read this proclamation, and knowing that I was coming to this forum, I read a lot of information online about your organization throughout the country, and yes, I'm very willing and proud to sign it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I just hope we can do what this proclamation says.
I agree. Thank you.
As a real proponent for nonviolence, and in times past advocating for nonviolence, I would be more than happy to sign.
Thank you.
I appreciate the breadth of this and all the points that it's hitting at, and absolutely I would sign this.
Thank you.
I think it's pretty obvious that all of us care about the city, and violence is always a factor. So yes, I would sign.
Thank you.
Yes, of course I would sign this. I did receive it, printed it out and read it, and do agree with it. Not only would I sign it, but I think we would work with you, your organization, and everybody out here to make sure that this, not just as a piece of paper, but it's an action going forward. So yes.
Thank you. Yes. Do you have the proclamation with you? We have it right here. Excuse me. Okay. Oh, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Do you guys have it over here? Everybody has it? Okay. We have some copies on the back. Yes, somebody raised their hand? Oh.
I have a question for the candidate.
Can you provide it just 1 second? Once we won't miss anybody. We promise. Thank you. A proclamation of the City of Joliet, Illinois, declaring Joliet as a nonviolent city. Whereas the citizens of Joliet are committed to foster a culture of peace, nonviolence, through education, sustainable economic and social development, clean environment, and racial, gender, and intergenerational justice. Whereas the citizens of Joliet desire to promote human rights, advance understanding, tolerance, solidarity, support participation, communication, and the free flow of information. Whereas the citizens, community leaders, city and faith organizations, political leaders in Joliet are committed to creating and implementing initiatives that not only foster peace and nonviolence, but also create positive and lasting change in our community. And whereas the City of Joliet believes that all segments of our city deserve inclusion in planning, actions, resource allocations, nonviolence training, restorative justice practices, budgetary priorities, and whereas the City of Joliet is committed to the rejection of violence, poverty, injustice, environmental degradation in conjunction with a PCBNE campaign Nonviolent Cities Project. Resolved that the Mayor and Joliet City Council, representing all the citizens of Joliet, the police and fire departments, community development, school superintendents, principals, teachers, professors, city management, human resources and neighborhood services, planning and zoning business owners, church leaders and families, young and old, proclaim the City of Joliet to be a nonviolent city. Resolve the Mayor and Joliet City Council support the United Nations resolution designating September 21st as the International Day of Peace, and so designate September 21st of each year henceforth as the Day of Peace in the City of Joliet in the month of September as a time of renewal, evaluation, improvement of policies, establishing regional peace and nonviolence in perpetuity. In witness thereof, I have unto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Joliet to be affixed this day. And it would be the Mayor of City of Joliet, City Council members, and of course our communities that can understand what this means. My question goes to you.
Let the mayors respond.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
This is obviously different than the proclamations of my office issues, but I do agree with it. I would sign this, and I would encourage you to come to City Hall if you want a real proclamation, an official one. It's something we should work together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have signed this, and I have been to City Hall with you all and marched downtown Joliet and delivered it with you.
Thank you.
I absolutely would sign this. This is architecture for our future. We need our children to know this is how we want to live. We are one race, the human race. And this is the beginning of it all right here, and it starts here. Thank you.
Thank you. The state of Illinois has a report card with more information. That information indicates that the Joliet Public Schools has certain percentages of students that go there. And I would like to go to the statistics if everybody's okay with it. It's going to be grade school and high school. The white Caucasian population is 8.4%. The Hispanic Latino is 66.5% in Joliet grade schools. The African American is 20.7%. Two more races, 4.1%. In Joliet Central, Caucasian, 21.4%. Hispanics, 56.1%. African American, 18.8%. And Native Americans, 2.7%. And then Indigenous and Native Alaskan. We have under the state report card that we have on the back, we have a chronic absenteeism in the schools, and it starts with the grade schools. We have 32.2%. In the high school, we have an absenteeism of combined West and Central, 49.8%. But it also indicates that 80.1% graduates. We have made a presentation to the City of Joliet, and we also have found out that the Joliet has been chosen as the 8th safest city in the nation, according to Money Geek. We also know that we are here to ask that we want to find solutions. We also want to tell you that our city also has violence in our schools, in an alarming statistics, according to the State of Illinois report card. And we want to ask all the candidates here, how would you deal without considering just the schools, not yet, with a chronic absenteeism besides the programs that you mentioned after school? Is there something specific that we can do to prioritize and increment the continuation of our mainly Hispanic, Latino students, African American students, to actually have 100% graduation rate? Would you answer that? We start with the mayors.
I would say that we need to come together as a community. We have a lot of great social service centers in our community, but there are a lot of single parents that can't track what their children are doing when they leave to go to work. And we know that's difficult. I think we really have to look there to make sure that those children are attended to, that we help them get to school, and that they understand this is the future. And we need to help them understand that. We need to help those single parents that are struggling to get this done. I think that could be a lot of the tardiness and the absenteeism. But, you know, we need to help everybody do that and make sure that those kids know they have to get there.
Thank you.
So when I was working in after-school programming, we had the regional office of education. We had a great relationship with them, and a lot of the truancy officers were coming to us asking us if we, could share our attendance and information and things like that, and if there was anything that we could do on site. So some of the things we started doing was working with like CASA, court-appointed special advocates. I was one, and we started working with different agencies that actually were already attached to these families. So sometimes there's a DCFS case, things that go unnoticed or that cannot be reported. So currently, some of the things that I am focused on is advocating for health care, and again, looking at the family as a whole. Some things are systemic, some things are not reported because people are embarrassed. They don't have the means to come outside of the home. It could be unhoused families where they're living with a family member, and after a while, they don't have the means to get to the same school in the district that they once lived in. So these are just some of the issues I think are at the core of the problem of truancy. And a lot of times we do, again, expect for the family to be a unit, which is usually the strength of what happens. But when they started to break down from one lifestyle change, your car breaks down, those are things that happen and can be catastrophic to any family. So I hope that we can continue to focus on the child.
Thank you.
Thank you. The City of Joliet works with Will County, with their social service agencies in Will County. We also get every year, it's called the Community Development Block Grant. It was referenced earlier, the CDBG funds. We get over $1 million in federal funding. And Joliet will spread that money throughout the community to many different organizations, including the Spanish Center that receives money every year from the City of Joliet. That's essentially the extent of where Joliet, the city government, would be involved with after-school programs. We work with the school districts, we'll work with them going forward, but again, like I said earlier, things that are happening inside the schools are not the purview of the mayor of Joliet or the Joliet City Council. It's something that your other elected officials need to deal with. And of course, we will work with them, we always do, but moving forward, I just want to make that clear so people understand the role of city government. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, once again, I'll make a plug for the referendum. Let's make our schools better. Let's give them the money they need. Let's get them the counselors they need. Let's get them the help they need. Let's help out our school board members. I'm willing to do whatever I can to help out our school board members, and it's a collaborative effort. It's not something I can't sit up here and preach to you. I need to listen to you, and your school board members need to listen to you, and that's how we're going to solve this problem, in my opinion. Thank you.
My wife was a special ed teacher down at Joliet Central. I have a daughter who's a dean down at Joliet Central. So this is a conversation that happens in our house often. They do have some ideas. It appears that attendance was much better just after the pandemic or before there, when meals were being offered to everyone, regardless of your income. Food can be used in our favor if that's going to help the children come. And this is going to be a meal for them. Could there be a late snack later in the day that they don't leave earlier? I know there's a number of thoughts that are ideas being worked on thinking outside the box. What can we do to help get them incentivized to stay? And obviously, hopefully they can learn and be a credit to society.
Thank you.
So again, this is one of those issues that's more applicable to a school board or administration. In my experience, I worked with a lot of students who had truancy concerns, and you got to look at the core reasons. And there's two, really. Anxiety is the big one, and then any issues associated with poverty. I mean, I cannot tell you the number of times that a 14-year-old girl stayed home to babysit because mom had to go to work. That's a huge problem. And so I think that's a societal problem that has to be addressed, right? For the schools, they need more truancy officers and more counselors. Those are the two things that always work. It's the only thing that really works. Incentivizing them is great. I don't know how we do that as a city council. I think that we have to work with the school boards, superintendents, teachers, deans, etc., and have a larger conversation as a community. If students are out and about in September and they should be in school, what are we doing to address that? Is anybody stopping them and asking the questions? So to me, this is more of a structural and systemic problem that we need to have a larger conversation. But I do agree with Mr. Ulitz that referendum needs to pass, the resources need to be there, and we need to address truancy in a multifaceted way.
Thank you.
Along the lines of understanding the jurisdiction of city government, this does not necessarily fall into that purview. But I would say for us, in that we don't have a whole lot of jurisdiction in what happens in the public school, we have instituted an Excel homeschool. And where we brought kids in that were 2 grades behind as a result of COVID. And we brought those children up to grade level, and many of them hit honor roll as a result of coming off of COVID. And so those are some other initiatives that can take place where if individuals are failing in the public school system, then bringing them into an environment by which they can learn, where they can glean, where they can get the one-on-one help that they need and instruction in there.
Thank you.
Then again, I think it goes back to the schools. Schools have to be involved, more school programs. And there's also Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Little League, basketball, soccer, Boys and Girls Clubs. If students and little kids are in, I shouldn't say little kids, if students and children are involved in different aspects to keep their minds clean and involved, they won't be running the streets and everything will be safer.
Thank you.
I would have to say I don't have the answers to this question, but I do have a daughter who is also a teacher, and I do hear a lot about the different issues, one of them being hunger is a very large issue for the children. And they do, she's a grade school teacher, and they do, they're Title I, and they feed the children 3 times a day, meaning they come in, they have lunch, and they send them home with food. So I want us to keep those programs going so these children have a safe place to come and basically a place to eat. I agree with the extra programs if you can get the children involved, but oftentimes if the parents aren't getting them to school, they're not going to take the time to get them into these other programs. I think the solutions lie within the community, and that we need to get together and discuss what we all feel collectively could be the solution.
Thank you.
Well, I think first we should address each student. I think everybody has different needs, and maybe there's a reason why they're not going to school. And like they said, it's not up to us, but just the fact that we try and we attend meetings when there's something going on, I think that speaks a lot for us as a parent. I know of a case that actually was out there on public in Facebook. It was brought to the school board. It seems like they didn't pay attention. So I could see why some people wouldn't attend school. So I think when we as parents know about situations like that, we have to stick together and work with the other families to stand up for our kids so they can feel safe going to school. And yes, like you said, why not make the food, I don't know why anyone has to pay for for their food when they go to school. I think free lunch everybody should be entitled to free lunch. It's not like, we're gonna go broke because, we're giving them our, our food. So let's find ways to help them to stay in school, because I know a lot of them, they really wanna go to school. It's just the opportunity is not there. And I'm sure that if we help them get there, they're gonna accomplish it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to be very, very clear on this. I don't know why this question was asked tonight. I think that when this is all said and done, that my wife, most people know as a principal at Joliet, she's very brilliant. They have a good superintendent. They have a very, very good school board. Here's how I know. Because they spent many hours during a strategic planning session where they invited people in to get involved and to really tackle this very question. They did their job. I would much rather like to spend time talking about the city of Joliet and why we don't have a strategic plan in place to make sure we can spur vision ahead for our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing that occurred to me is that pretty much every question that we had tonight, they're all interrelated. And if we had development that created good jobs so that people could lift themselves out of poverty, they would have the opportunity to have care for their children, to encourage they would see the necessity for their children to go to school and encourage daily attendance, and that would reduce crime. So it's basically the community being involved. And you people, you're here, you're involved. So it's a matter of getting your neighbors to understand that we're all citizens of Joliet. No matter, Terry said, we're one race, a human race, and we're citizens of Joliet. We all have to work together and bring us ideas. We'll, work them out.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think right now we have a great opportunity. Everyone that's here, we have to go out and vote. And we're not only voting right now for city officials, but there is the District 86 referendum. I graduated from Gompers Junior High School, and right now we have an opportunity to give a brand new state-of-the-art school to the east side of Joliet, a new Hufford. So the way that we can do this is we have to vote. The people here, I challenge everyone here to go get 10 more people with you to go vote. And we need to make sure this referendum passes, because right now there's an opportunity to get a brand new Gompers, a brand new Hufford Junior High, upgrades to a lot of the other schools, which, again, how many people remember buying their first new car, walking into a new house? You get a feeling of pride and you want to go there, right? So if you want to talk about truancies and things, I think those are things when they go somewhere they can be proud of, it's going to help. But we need to get people to go out and vote and take these issues serious.
Thank you.
I think we need to teach the basics earlier so they don't struggle. Reading, writing, addition, subtraction. If you know those things, then you're not going to struggle early on and you're going to like going to school. And also teach self-reliance. Too many kids today seem to rely on mobile apps and ask Google. And if you're relying on technology to do your work and thinking for you, you're going to struggle. So let's teach them early and teach them self-reliance.
Thank you.
So I work at a nonprofit inside of Riverwalk, Health and Human Services, and we have violence prevention case managers who decided to work together with Joliet District 86, who only has one truant officers, and we decided to go knocking on parents' doors. And after about 10 days of knocking on those parents' doors to find out why their kids weren't at school and working in tandem with the school district, we figured out the problems that they had and tried to do the best we could to support them through those problems. I'm proud to say, after about 7 to 10 days, they had 100% success rate with those chronically truant kids. So imagine if we multiplied that and we had more case managers all throughout the district that could help that one truant officer. And we're helping families, and I would just uplift everyone's voices here. I also, like Caesar said, I support the referendum. If you are in government at any level and you think this isn't your problem, you are not allowed to be in government, because it is all of our problems here to take care of the children, and they need it the most, more than anyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's been said, that there's a school board, but I know us as city officials that I stand prepared to work with school boards or any other municipal body to help our children, to do better, to go on. And I know it has to start early, as it was said, before they get to a senior year of high school. So again, as a city official, I stand ready to work with any organization or any municipality or municipal body. Even in my personal business, I own and operate a funeral home. We work with Joliet Central with their tech prep program where if a student say he wants to be a funeral director, he can come into our facility to work with us. Now, I don't have people standing in line, but we do get one every now and then they come. So that's where I am, is just helping in the community. Thank you.
Where are the questions? Where are the questions? Okay.
All right, as we promised, we'll get at some questions from the audience here. And I believe this young man here should be first. I think he spoke up. Do you have a question, my friend?
I do. It has to do with the whole Joliet school system. My question is for Terry Darcy. What would you do to improve the Joliet school system? Because it's been at the bottom in math and different things.
Okay.
That's a great question. You know, one of the formats of what I've been talking about since I've decided to try and earn the opportunity to be the mayor of Joliet is to revitalize our community, to have a great concern over the 40,000 plus young people that are under 19 years of age. And I'm going to go back to what I think Mr. Parker said. We need a long-term comprehensive plan. What are we going to leave? What legacy are we going to leave for these young people? Where are they going to go? Where are they going to recreate? I had a great opportunity the other day to sit with about 7 or 8 young people, high schoolers and junior colleges, and there's not much to do in our community. We need to get a spark back in the community, and I really think that we need to revitalize our downtown. I know we're talking about a battery recycling plant out on the old steel mill property. Well, I'd like to make that a sports core. I've been talking to a guy named Bo Jackson about putting a sports core, a dome out there. Then we could have outdoor baseball, soccer, things for the kids to do right here in the middle of our community where they can all get to it very easily. That would be one thing I do, to give them something to do, an opportunity to feel what everybody else feels, but it'd be right here in their part of the community.
All right, because we do matter, and because we want to hear from the younger generation, we got a great answer here from one of our younger people.
All right, just with time, I would like to hear from everyone, of course, but with time, if not able to, I'd love to hear from our mayor candidates. But my question is, how would you make the city safer for our youth? And then how would you get the opinion of as many youth as you can for those decisions?
Yeah, let's limit that to the mayoral candidates just for time purposes.
If you don't mind, I'll start. I had a great time the other day. We probably spent a little over an hour with 7 young people. And I really love to get into more town hall conversations. You know, I want to hear what they're thinking and how can we help them. But I really think we have to really take a look at this long-term comprehensive plan. We've only got so much land left in Joliet that's not built on. We've got legacy communities to help with. I need to know what they're thinking. You know, I said to them, what do you do if you want to go hang out in the wintertime? Well, we go to the mall, or we go to Target, or we go to Walmart. We need to find more things for them to do so that they can enjoy this community, that they can continue to grow through here. So that's a main thing that I'd want to do, is make sure that we communicate well. You know, they're all talking about wanting to have a Starbucks downtown, things like that. I mean, we need to look at things like that and keep working with them, although I like jitters, I got to say that. But that's just some of the things I would do. But we have to communicate. We have to sit with them one-on-one and 10-on-1 and talk about things like that. Thank you.
So I feel like sometimes we get a little lopsided and, you know, unbalanced when it comes to asking questions about youth. And because I always boast about having 23 years of experience, one thing I want to uplift is that when you talk about safety, again, to me, it has to do a lot with what we don't have or what we've experienced in our lives. And Joliet is one of those cities that was definitely impacted by the war on drugs, and a lot of our families in those marginalized areas and the people that you feel like have been heavily impacted, they are still in that cycle, right? So I feel like we don't have to tell our youth that this is a issue for Joliet. I think that Joliet has to admit that there were things that were done institutionally, and in order to empower you all to feel better about it, we need to uplift that there are several colleges here. We have the county seat, which is Will County, and we have several organizations that currently are part of United Way agencies, but we also have a group of young people that are affluent in our community that can continue to uplift what safety is and what that looks like. So I think that we first have to demonstrate it as a city, acknowledge the issues, and then move forward with creating opportunities for you all to feel safe in your own city.
Thank you. Yeah, that really is a good question. I've been the mayor the last 8 years, and I can tell you, I'm invited maybe every other week, every third week to some Joliet school to address and have exchange with the young people at that school. I've been, just in the last month and a half, I've been to Dirksen for a science fair. I've been to Joliet Junior College and addressed the students and took questions. I was at Joliet West and participated with a large number of students for career guidance, a career day. So I think it's vital as the mayor to have conversations. Certainly, as many of you know, I'm at community forums or neighborhood group events nightly, and I've been doing it for the last 8 years all over the city. But oftentimes, the people at the events look a lot like who you see here tonight. You don't see a lot of, well, very rarely do you see teenagers, high school kids or younger at these events. So as mayor, I think it's crucial to have, if you're going to have a pulse in the community, to have outreach and have communication with the young people in our community. Excuse me, and I have done so for 8 years. Thank you.
Peace be with you. My question is, over the past 8 years, the city of Joliet has cost the taxpayers more than $5 million in payouts for legal defense and settlements for police misconduct. If elected mayor, what would be your position on negotiating with the FOP on behalf of the citizens of Joliet to save them these tax dollars to require the police be bonded, insured, and licensed?
I'll answer first. Thank you. Yeah, we do. Every time the contract's up, we do negotiate with FOP. Everything's on the table for any contract negotiation. The city is funding insurance. We're self-insured up to $1 million. Anything above that, we have insurance that pay out. The question that comes up all the time on the city council, and it's difficult, and all my peers will understand that there's lawsuits that are presented that we think we can win, but quite frankly, it becomes a business decision. The money we're going to expend in defending the city or defending an officer is more than what the settlement number is. As mayor or as an elected official, you have a fiduciary duty to all of you. We're here to manage your money. So I know there's decisions that we've all made that none of us like, but we're doing it because we believe it's best for the city. And quite frankly, that happens on a regular basis. If we're put in that position, do we take the cheapest route or we try to take what we think is the moral high ground? It's a decision every elected official has to make on a regular basis.
Oh, he left. So I think the question was, should they be bonded, licensed, and insured? I agree. And then I think the other part of the question was about the focus, about the focus of the taxpayers' dollars, right? So as many of you know, right, it is an uncomfortable feeling to find out that the city is spending money on things that you don't agree with or haven't been informed about. So again, I've been talking about civic engagement. We have to get engaged. We have to be at these city hall meetings. We have to be reading the newspaper, or we have to really actually hold our media accountable for giving us the facts so that we can make better informed decisions about what we want to see versus what we end up hearing later. So I think there's like this funnel of information that by the time it gets to the community, it's like this little, and then there's a huge dollar amount, and it's attached to a police officer's name or the lack of accountability to that police officer. So then, of course, it looks bad on one group of people. So I think that we need to focus on how do we reset those systems that are currently happening that continue to put the taxpayers last. So that's my last and final.
I think that the unions are in place for certain things, but I don't think they should defend someone that's done something wrong. I think everyone needs to be accountable for their actions. But I really think that some of the processes that are in place now are going to help us find that accountability. I think the body cams are going to help tremendously. I think now there's an accountability on both sides. What really went on during that situation, and what did it really look like? What was the emotion? What happened? But we can't tolerate someone that's not doing the right things. And should we pay for that? No, we shouldn't pay for that. Everyone should be held accountable, just like we all are at the jobs we go to every day. But I think we need to continue to train our officers to understand the culture and the mental health and things that are going on that make their job a little bit tougher. But there are steps being taken to make sure that they're held accountable and the city doesn't invest in something they did wrong.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, I hear a lot about safety. How the city of Joliet and the Joliet Police Department is gonna work around the no cash bail to keep the criminals with mental and housing issues away from our community and to keep us safe.
Would you like to aim that at somebody special? For the mayors? For the mayors.
Okay. Well, fortunately, the Will County has been opted out of that program. So that Safety Act is not applicable here in Will County. It's not an issue for our city. Jim Glasgow, the Will County State's Attorney, was one of the leaders in fighting that. But the reality is there's 102 counties in Illinois, 100 state's attorneys in our state spoke out against the Safety Act, judges, police chiefs all over the state. So fortunately, this law applies in Cook County, will not apply here with the no cash bail. It's not an issue here in Joliet.
So for me, someone who has been an advocate on many serious issues like crime, I have spoken to the city of Joliet. I have worked with organizations such as Equity and Transformation and a number of other organizations about the Safety Act. My stance on it is that personally, not just professionally, it started because there was an issue with institutional racism and systemic racism. So it was marginalizing, or should I say, continuing to put Black folks at a disadvantage. And so it was about cashless bail. And so what happened in our city, again, as he stated, there was a lawsuit, and then there was the city of Joliet who chose to opt out. And so as a city, now where we are as a community is that there are court watchers in our city to still ensure that if a person has an opportunity to get back to work or to have bail lowered or no bail at all and pay their fines or dues, the cashless bail option was still available to them. So I think sometimes, again, as I said, the media does one thing, we as a people do something else. We as a collective are left last to determine what does this mean and how do we understand what the next steps are. So there's a lot of work to do as a community if we do want to see recidivism and reentry programs reestablished in our community.
Well said. I think that there's a lot of cause and effect of this new action that was taken by the state of Illinois. And right now it's in litigation. But I think that the idea of government is that we get together and we understand the cause and effect on both sides. I mean, there's things that have come in with that. And I think the body cams are very important. I know now the judges are going to have a little bit more jurisdiction on setting bail. But that should be a fair bail for everybody. And it shouldn't be just decided on what someone looks like, how their bail is set. So I really think we need to work together in government to decide what's going to be the best cause and effect on both sides of this issue. There's really a lot of good points in it, and there's some points that might not make sense. But I don't think litigation is any way to get anything done. I think there's a whole lot of ways to work together to make something work for all of us.
Hi, this is for the mayors. I have a question. Do you see senior citizens, including grandparents raising children, as a concern for the city of Joliet? And will you help? Because these grandparents who are raising children, these children are going to our schools. These children are some of the children that we are talking about here today who are being raised by their grandparents predominantly over 55 and up. Not all, but most. And the city of Joliet has a large percentage of grandparents who are raising children.
I'll take that one first, if you don't mind. I know that 32,000 of our residents are over the age of 55 years old. And I'm not sure what the blend of those young folks are that are living with their grandparents or being raised by their grandparents. But again, we all need to work together to make sure that it works well for all of us. You know, when we take a look at the new water pricing that's coming up, there should be different levels of water pricing because, you know, if someone's raising their grandkids and things like that. It's going to get expensive as we go along with different things. But we really need to work together to make sure that we can help all the seniors that are helping their grandkids grow and prosper in our community.
So I'm familiar with some of the programs that you mentioned, and I think one of the things that we can do for our grandparents is think about this from the holistic point of view. So sometimes it's funding that's needed and more resources allocated. So I know we talked about the block grant and things like that. And then there's opportunities. Again, we've talked about programs that are needed. You all need outlets and places to bring these children. You need time off too. You need some funding. And sometimes the grandparents, they need jobs, right? So they need some type of help from a system that usually has not helped them in the past. So that affordable housing isn't there, the food, the nutrients, the safety, and keeping those kids in a system where they can grow up and really thrive, I think it's important to me. And then lastly, what I would say is prioritizing our most vulnerable citizens is something that I talk about a lot. So some of our senior citizens have disabilities. And when they're trying to get to and from, the lack of transportation, I think is something that we can also think about. So I would definitely work with and advocate on such issues for our seniors.
Yeah, thank you. And the follow-up on that, it is an issue in Joliet. We're aware of that. Not quite on point, but one thing that I did implement when I became mayor, there is a program now for seniors and people with disabilities, a snow shoveling program. That's been funded by the city of Joliet. It's gone out citywide to help people who are unable to cope with the winter time with the winter storms. But along those lines, the federal money we get every year, it's called the Community Development Block Grant. It's over $1 million comes to the city and it gets sent out all over the city. It's been a priority of my administration to work with senior services and make sure they're getting funding, not just from Will County or from their own grants or the state of Illinois, but from the city of Joliet. And moving forward, it's absolutely something we have to continue to do to help the seniors in our area.
Okay, if you can just bear with us, I think we got 2 more questions and we'll wrap it up.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I have a question. I grew up going to carnivals, the Taste of Joliet. You know, I'm not, okay. I grew up going to carnivals, city activities, but now, when I want to take my grandkids, I have 11 grandkids. Why do they have to charge for each child in order for them to go to these activities now? That's for, no, that's for all for the mayors.
I don't have a great answer. The Taste of Joliet's run by the Joliet Park District, not the city. Our role in that is providing police, which I think we've done a great job. Luckily, there's never been a major incident at that event. As far as other events that are occurring downtown, the city is never the direct sponsor or vendor, but we do support the different groups that do events like the Chamber of Commerce or the City Center Partnership. Something that we could bring up or reduce prices for kids, but ultimately, again, it just isn't a decision that we make at the city level.
So who do we talk to then?
Well, it would depend on the event. If it's the Taste of Joliet, it's the Park District, you could talk with Brad Stab or their elected officials. If it's an event downtown, it depends on who's put on the specific event. Sometimes there's different groups that sponsor those events, and they would be the ones that set those prices.
Oh, I'll do my best. So I know that, you know, when you look at these programs, I know that there's a lot of packets and information to fill out and a lot of forms and a lot of the organizations have to pay these fees, right? So they have to pay for garbage removal and things like that. So I know sometimes that's what goes into that. What I would say is that we can look for alternatives. I mean, we can have conversations with organizations, and I think that we can look for other spaces. That's something that's come up a lot, is how Joliet uses the funds that they currently have, and we kind of push a lot of the things into the areas that are more affluent. So if we're looking at the District 4 and 5 that keeps coming up, right, where are our spaces to have activities and events? And then again, when you get back to some of the organizations, where's the funding? Are they able to get these grants so that they can lower these costs? I mean, this happens all the time where we have huge buildings, but there's not enough staff, so they're closing at 4:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And then when the weekend comes, you know, you're at church or you're at another activity, and so those dollar amounts kind of add up. Last thing I would say is that I see a lot of the jump zones and all of those places. They are in our Plainfield, Naperville areas. So again, with the vacant buildings and things like that, I think when we start talking about revitalizing Joliet, we may have to look at some of those areas too.
To answer some of the festivals, they don't charge for kids under certain ages. I think the Taste of Joliet, it's 10 or 12 years old, you don't pay for them. I know some of the other festivals downtown, you don't have to pay for children of a certain age. You know, again, I want to go back to what are we going to do to give these young people something to do and a purpose. I know for many years I worked and partnered with Joe Bellman with the Spanish Baseball League, and in the summer we'd have up to 350 kids that were all part of that. So we need to find more things like that. And again, I'd love to get with the Park District. I think we really need to get more recreation on all sides of town. I mean, can you imagine another Inwood baseball set up over here so that all these kids have a chance to do this and enjoy recreation without having to get a ride all the way to the other side of town? I think we really need to rebalance. I know we did a referendum back in 2015. We raised $19.5 million. 12.6 million came to this community, the Knoll Park, new parks around the community. We need to continue to look to bring more of that opportunity here.
Okay, I think we got our last question.
Good night. I'm very proud to see you in person, all of you, and you got elected by the people. Only two simple questions. You were talking about caring about the health of the young people and all that kind of stuff, but out of the sudden, some people who wants to start a business, they had a hard time, but we see in every corner popping tobacco places. Is that something healthy for the city of Joliet at the youth? And you see, don't take my word, you know, just look in the statistic, they got a lot of young people already with problems with it, not only with the phone and their thing, but that's one thing. Another one is like, I don't know if you've ever been involved in an accident. Before you know it, they call the tow truck. This tow truck has some kind of, I'm not sure how that thing started, but how in the world they had a connection, the police or the city with a private place, and they charge you like, the car is not going to tow out of state. They charge you more than $200, and that's supposed to be to serve and protect. The voters will do that, so there's another private tow trucks that charge you probably 1/3 of that. And it'd be nice to see if there's a petition to bring it to a vote for the people to vote, and whoever came up with that idea, be accountable for that. Thank you so much.
I guess I have the microphone again.
Okay.
I think that going back to the tobacco shops, I know there's an exorbitant amount of those, and I'm not so sure why so many young people are getting involved in that, but that really is a big concern to try and keep that from growing and growing. And I think, again, we as parents need to make sure that we keep our kids away from that stuff. It's not cheap and it's not healthy whatsoever. I know that there are, on the second question, there are towing contracts in the city that are negotiated by the city, and I think there's 4 or 5 different companies. I'm not real clear on that, but I'd sure look into that to make sure that it's a fair and equitable charge when that car is towed less than a mile sometimes. I don't disagree.
So I haven't been elected yet. And as a citizen, I definitely am uncomfortable with the towing policies. I have had my car towed with a sticker for where I've lived in the city of Joliet. I know that some of the money goes to the city and then you can get your car released. So I know that feeling oh too well, and it's very uncomfortable feeling. So I think sometimes, these housing associations, again, it may not, maybe Mayor Odeker can speak to that. Maybe there are things that are outside of our jurisdiction where folks, they make those decisions as a housing association, and they pick and choose who they want to tow. And, within the city limits, that's a requirement, and that may be something that we have to look at. I think the other part of the question was about the tobacco shops. Quit smoking 7 years ago, and all you see in the news right now is how the illicit drugs are now in those tobacco shops. So I think we definitely need to figure out how to have the conversation about what's happening in those tobacco shops, where those things are coming from, and that's something that we haven't talked about in these last 4 weeks, which is the opioid and the drugs and what leads to those things. And my dad called them gateway drugs: cigarettes, tobacco, cigars, gateway drugs to marijuana and other illicit drugs. So we do need to have that conversation soon if we're not having it.
Thank you. Yeah, the first part of your question, I agree with you 100%. It's one of the things that I did as mayor. We have downtown Joliet, there's a TIF district, it's a special service area. Essentially, tax money collected in that area is put directly back into that area. And I never understood why that would only apply for downtown. That now applies to East Cass Street, North Collins Street, South Chicago, South Richards, trying to encourage and promote business all over the east side, not just in the downtown. That's not the way things were done before. That was one of the changes we implemented, and I think we're seeing benefits moving forward. I know some of the business owners, like at South Richard Street, have been very complimentary about that program. The tow issue is a little bit more complicated, but Mr. Darcy's right. There are specific companies that contract with the city. There's basically a rotation on who does the towing. I do think the city needs to monitor to make sure there's not abuse and that people are being charged fairly. As far as other towing companies, I don't want to name them, but you'll see their name in private lots. The city doesn't have jurisdiction over them. However, there was an issue in Mayfair a couple years ago. A company wanted to start putting boots on vehicles parked in that parking lot. We have an ordinance that said you can't do that. We fought the property owner over that. We enforced our ordinance and will not let them boot our citizens' cars.
All right, we're just a little bit over time, but we'd kind of like a rapid closing response, starting with Mr. Morris.
Yes, again, thank you all for having us to come out this evening, and I enjoyed the dialogue from my colleagues and the questions from the audience. Again, I think the city is moving in a positive direction. I would love to serve the city citizens, residents of District 5 for another 4 years. And I ask you also, as it's been said, to vote for the referendum and just to get out the vote and get your neighbors, your family members out to vote. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Susanna Ibarra. I'm running for Joliet City Council District 5, and I would love your vote. It's not about the plans that I have. It's about what the residents want to see in the city of Joliet. And being the city of champions, I believe we can do so much better for the residents. I'm going to bring my experience of the last 2 years as a Joliet Township trustee and apply that to Joliet City Council. We're chasing a lot of money and grants that we're getting and making a difference for our township, and we can do that at the City of Joliet. Take someone forward thinking that is able to push the ball forward and get our residents more services without costing you another dime. Thank you.
I'm Jim Lanham, District 5 candidate, and I encourage everyone to vote. Encourage everyone you know to vote. Even if you don't vote for me, you vote for one of my 3 other opponents. Make your choice for mayor in whatever district you live in, but please make sure you vote. That is your voice. And if you don't vote, then how can you come to meetings like this and complain when you don't vote? So please, even if you vote for someone else, vote.
Yeah, thanks again, everybody, for coming out on a night like tonight. As everyone on here, we came up here to kind of try to tell our story of why we're running for city council. Again, I'm born and raised here in Joliet. I'm involved in multiple community organizations. I've been on the Spanish Community Center Board, Hispanic Latino Coalition with scholarships, the Latino Business Association, currently helping with small businesses. I've worked with various other organizations. I'm on the Will County Center for Economic Development Association. Done already? I'm done? 10 seconds. Done. No, we got some. We need people to get out to vote. The municipal elections are the lowest turnout that we have in elections. There's 30,000 residents in District 4. There's 12,000 registered voters in District 4. 1,200 people voted in the last election, which means only, Ms. Betty Gavin, when she got in with 525 votes. That's, 525 people get to choose what 30,000 people want in their district. So it's very key that we get out there and we get people to vote. We got the referendum. Okay, now I'm done. We got the referendum and we do need to get out there and vote. Thank you.
I'm Bill Ferguson, and I'm running for District 4 City Council. This is a district that does not have an incumbent. So the candidates that you see up here, we've decided that we are willing and able to represent you in District 4 and would like that opportunity. I have a lot of experience in government. I'm going to be retiring this year. I'll have a lot of time to devote to this position, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
So I'm going to make this very, very clear that I really, really, really thank you all for coming and bearing through 2 hours of a lot of questions, a lot of feedback, and you guys did a wonderful job of being attentive. Thank you for being here tonight. It means a lot. Because I don't have a lot of time, I'm going to ask you to go to parkerforjoliet.com. And please make sure that you understand that we're running off of a 4-point plan. That 4-point plan is economic development, safety and security, fiscal responsibility, and lastly, faith-based initiatives. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to everyone for coming here today. Please go out and vote, and thank you for being a registered voter. Like they said, it doesn't matter who you vote, just please make sure that the right persons get in so we can, they can represent our city the best they can. And my name is Rosa Hernandez, and I'm running for City Council District 4, and if elected, I will promise you I will be your voice and I will represent you the best I can. Thank you.
I'm Sherry Reardon. I am the current District 3 Councilwoman. I want to commend you all for being here. What a great turnout you've had. I never told you anything about me. I am a lifelong resident along with my husband of 33 years. We've raised 4 children here. Our parents before us and our grandparents before us were all Joliet residents. I love this town. I just want to leave you with one quote that I do like to research before I do things. It's from your material. It's a quote from Gandhi. We have to make truth and nonviolence not matters for more individual practice, but for practice by groups and communities and nations. Let's work together to make Joliet a nonviolent city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. One thing, all the candidates here have one common denominator. That's to do the best we can for the city of Joliet, no matter what district you're in. I am raised, born, grew up, went to school, city of Joliet. I think I have, running for District 2, the most experience. I retired 2 years ago as a chairman of the Joliet Junior College Board of Trustees with 44 years of experience. All I can say is I believe in Joliet. On April 4th, please believe in me.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Glenda Wright McCullum, running for District 2, Joliet City Council. District 2 borders Rayner Avenue west to Route 59, south to Jefferson Street, and north to Plainfield, Theodore Street, in those areas. I'd like to leave you with a couple of things. Where there is knowledge and the proper application of that knowledge, the whole city is furnished, flourishes, thrives, and grows. Cities will grow, thrive when the leader understands the needs of the communities, use wisdom to successfully address those needs, and exercise proper judgment in order to produce favorable outcomes. I'll say this, I'm not just one to legislate from the seat. but I will get boots on the ground and get in the trenches with the community to make things happen that need to happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all again. Quinn Adamowski, running for District 2. If nothing else, I'm tenacious, and I never accept no, I don't want to hear, we can't, it's not possible. We need to find a way to yes, to solutions for this city. And we heard a lot of them here tonight. And I think we need to keep this dialogue going and talk about what we can do for our youth. I do want to say this. We all have a job to do as citizens. We would all have a job to do as city council people. But everybody in this room, the one thing we have not talked about tonight, probably one of the most important things we can do collectively, respect and support our teachers. Teachers are frontline. They're with our students every day. We need to show them support and support them in any way we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. We appreciate the chance to get to speak to you. My name is Pat Mudrin. I've been on the council for 8 years. I stand by my voting record. It'll prove to you that I am an independent thinker. Read the materials, study it, and vote for what I think is best for the city of Joliet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, I'm going to move to center stage. My name is Mike Ulitz again. I'm running for District 1 City Council. I have 31 years experience in public service, and I don't feel that was enough. So I'm running for 4 more years, and I would appreciate it if every one of you would come on out and vote for me. I'm in District 1. You're welcome to come on out. I stand for infrastructure improvements, and infrastructure is more than streets, sidewalks, it's buildings, it's vehicles, and it's people. And it's people. The Declaration of Independence starts out with we the people. We have to do this together. I'm willing to work with you. I want to listen to you. I realize I'm smart enough to know I am not the smartest man in this room. Thank you.
Thank you. The mayors. Mr. Darcy?
I'm here tonight because I'm excited about the future. It's the only place we have to live. Yesterday's gone, today's almost gone, but we really have to be concerned with a long-term vision and plan for our community, and that's something that we would all have to do together. I've been in the people business in Joliet for over 30 years, and I mean, I've delivered Meals on Wheels, I've been part of the Spanish baseball program, I've given my time, talent, and treasure to help the city be better and better, and I want to continue that. I've worked myself out of a job. I don't have to go anymore. I want to devote myself to this community to make it the world-class city we are. And I can tell you, I can talk to anybody, anytime. I will be available, and I just want to help with the passion I have to make this the city that it will grow into. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you.
I want to start by thanking Nonviolent Cities Project, and I want to thank all of you for coming out. Again, my name is Tycee Bell, and I'm running for mayor, again, because of you all. I have hit a part of my destiny that I feel has led me to stand in this very room amongst so many of my peers. I grew up on the east side of Joliet, and I continue to serve in this community. I continue to listen, and I continue to be an advocate for those that are in need. But not only those are in need, but those who are on a progressive path for businesses, as we talked about, infrastructure, and getting to the bottom of a lot of the things that we feel have been unfair. So I want to give us a voice. I want to empower those of you who are in this room to think again about the people you see behind you and the people that are in your neighborhood. If they look like you, if they care about the same things that you do, or if they have a difference of opinion, then they're going to be just like all of us. So we have to take it upon ourselves to come together to do things that look like change but feel good for everyone. And that's not always going to make the other side feel good. So I'm asking you, August 4th or early as you can, go and vote for Tycee Bell.
April 4th.
April.
Well, thank you again, Nonviolent Cities. Thank you for the forum. I'm sorry? Okay. Thank you for the forum. Thanks to all you for coming out for the questions. I want to compliment my peers on the council and everyone who's running. This is not easy to do. When you run for public office, you open yourself up for scrutiny. So compliments to all of you. There's no way I could put the last 8 years into 1 minute. Simply said, I am very proud to have the honor of being your mayor for the last 8 years. I have never taken this job lightly. I've been took to being the mayor of this great city as serious as someone could. I'm very proud of the work we've done the last 8 years, the trajectory this city is on, the new development areas that haven't seen new development in 30, 40, or 50 years have private money coming into it. I'm simply, again, being the mayor through the COVID crisis, seeing the city through those difficult periods to where we are today. I'm thrilled about where we're headed and where we're going to be 8 years from now. So again, I want to compliment all of you. Thank you for coming out. Like everyone else said, please remember to vote. Tell your neighbors, your friends, your family to vote. So thank you. Thank you again for the forum.
Hello? Can you hear me? Thank you. I just wanted to go through some statistics for the last mayoral election. District 1 had 1,193 votes. District 2 had 3,243 votes. District 3 had 2,049 votes. District 4 had 1,226 votes. District 5 had 1,075 votes. And that concluded the races. We want to thank you, our guests, the candidates, for coming. We wish you the best. We want to thank Our Lady of Mount Carmel for hosting the Candidates Forum. We want to thank Manuel, the leader of Nuevos Horizontes, our translators, Lucy and Manuela. Their youth group that was in the entrance. We want to thank our NVCP volunteers, all of the work that was done by our audio and graphics by David, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Prayer Group, to endless hours of work from our leader, Doug, the NVCP Steering Committee active members, also to Trista Brown, speak up, the county clerk that's registering voters on the back, Tanya Arias, the media that disseminated the event, our peace ambassadors, which are the children that did some drawings and you took some pictures today. And thank you for all of you that are here. Get out to vote. April 4th is the day of the election. 6 a.m. they open, 7 p.m. We also have the maps of the city districts. They're on the back. We also have the information from the schools. And we have food. So thank you. You can take your a little presents that we gave you. Hope you like it. And also take anything or any information that you need. So thank you again, and let's give him a big applause. Everybody, I want to hear everybody. Thank you. Thank you.